Hello guys, welcome to the 21st episode of Lumion 10 tutorial. In this episode we want to explore most of the effects that you need to work on your projects with, and we will explain them. So in every episode we'll talk about 1, 2 or 3 group of effects, and we'll explain all of the effects that are inside Lumion, one by one and with detail, so you can use them in your project. First effect that we want to use is sun, and as we've used this one before, it will determine the angle of the sunlight by changing sun height and sun heading, determine if it's day or if it's night. And in sun brightness, you can control the amount of light that you have in your project. And in sun disk size, let's reduce the brightness a little bit. It will increase the size of the sun itself. Maybe in sunset, it can create a different view for you. So let me remove this effect, and if we want to do it more professionally, we can use sun study. And in sun study, in edit, you can determine your location on Earth. So we choose the middle of Aurora. We determine the hour of day. You can even determine in your project that the minute, hour, day and month and year of your project. And here you can change the time zone that you have in your Google map. Daylight saving, latitude, longitude and offset. You can choose this from Google Map and those sorts of stuff. For example, in October we have a sun like this. If you capture render hour by hour from your project, it can help you to create the right canopy for your building. And how to control what light in what hour of the day. So you can change the hour and you can look at the angle of the sunlight. And in God rays is the radius of the light that is coming from the sun. And you can see it right here. And you can change the intensity, length of it, and the fading of the light. It could give you something pleasant. And pay attention, if the angle of the sun and your sun is outside of your view, you don't see God ray anymore. So if we stay on the opposite side, here we don't have any God ray. But when we want to have this rays, especially for interior design, to have some rays in interior, we use volumetric sun ray. And we can have this sunlight in our design. And as you can see, these rays are entering our design. And you can increase or decrease the brightness and the range of these light rays. And if you go to weather, we have fog. And we can add fog to our design, which starts from background and it's moving towards foreground. You can increase the density And you can increase or decrease fall off and your fog brightness. Fall off is the amount of fog that you have on the ground. And in here you can change the color of the fog and make it like this, create something graphical. So here could be like sandstorm. And from precipitation we can add snow, we can add rain. And at the same time, with a very simple change, we can change it to rain or to snow. And in phase, you can see the water on your asphalt. And it's the same story for snow as well. That's how much snow you have on the ground. We select rain, and we put this phase on this. Here you can change particle quantity, the amount of rain and amount of particles that you have in your shot. And you can increase the particle size. And blocked by plants and trees is if you want to have the snow under plants and under trees, which determine how much the leaves are blocking the snow or rain. In extra fog addition, we can add fog here as well, and block base, which we could determine that if some objects are not moving, we will not have snow under them. Let's capture a render test, but here we don't want to capture render tests, we just want to get to know them. So let's go to wind, and as we've talked about it before, this is usually used for animation, and this could make trees and plants to move inside a design. Let's just create a simple movement. So very small animation. And in wind, we can give some wiggly movement to trees and plants and make them move. And in the sky, let's explore each one of them. The most important one before real sky and Aurora. Let's use the sky and cloud and talk about this one. In order to see this better, let's disable volumetric sunlight and remove precipitation, which is rain and snow. First, we have our positioning to place the position of clouds on the sky. And let me remind you of something, that while we're doing the same thing, if we go in animation and repeat the same process, from here we can press edit, copy effect, and here we can paste effect, and we can have the same thing over here as well. And here all of the positions of the clouds, they have key, so you can make clouds move in your shot. And at the same time you can have your cloud speed. If you want to create time lapse, you could do it with this. So you can create key points for all of them. Let's go back in sky and cloud. We've talked about cloud speed and master cloud amount, and you determine how much cloud you will want to have in your sky. Low clouds, it will show the clouds that are closer to the ground. High clouds, it will speak about the clouds that are above low clouds. Cloud direction, cloud brightness, cloud softness, and low cloud softness removal. And sky brightness, how much we have light in our sky. And cloud preset, the preset that we have for our clouds. Clouds high preset, and it's preset for the clouds that are higher than lower clouds. And overall brightness, as it says, it's overall brightness. Back in the days when there was no real sky inside this program, we were usually using this sky and clouds. But remember, if there was a time that you needed your class to move in your sky and your sun to move in sky, it's better to use sky and clouds. And another thing, the clouds in sky is very lighter than real sky, and that will help your PC to get the render faster. Let's see real sky separately, and in real sky you have all different type of sky. Only sunset has 2 pages, and in this like about 38 option that you have here, you have edge to dry pictures from Polygon company, which you can edit and use them in your design. And use the sky in order to give some light in your area. So we don't have any separate light, and we cannot change the movement of the sun, and both of them are moving together. So for example, if we use cloudy, if you have a sun in the sky, the sun will be at a position with clouds, so you can just change it with the heading and change overall brightness and create a result that is pleasant for you. And in flip sky, you can flip the position of sky. And in Aurora Borealis, remember that your real sky needs to be set on the night. And when you're using night, let's click on the picture to see how our render will be. Let's increase overall brightness, and from here we can add that effect. We can change the amount of brightness, color shift, speed, time, offset in animation. We need to set when it will start, the scale of Aurora Borealis, and where it's heading. Because we don't have any lighting in here, it will not create something extremely pleasant. But we can try that in a scene that we've worked on before. So very easy. Let's click on effect and add it here. And Aurora is usually being used for the area that are cold, like Norway or Scandinavian countries, and they can see this type of thing. And usually in the areas when you have palm trees, you will not have this type of thing. And the next thing that we're going to pay attention is contrail. Which in this part of contrail it will show the effect and show the movement of, for example, planes in your sky. I think you needed to disable real sky, and then you can show the plane's movement and plane trail. Let's click on, so we go back to the main render position, and in volume clouds, usually use volume clouds when you are placed here and you're not placed on the ground. And you can add 3D clouds. Which means you can see the volume of clouds and they will cast shadow on the ground. So you can change the height. So for example, when I want to look at my project from a very long distance and zoom like this, and then turn, at the same time you can see the cloud's movement. We have a light here, let me remove this part so it's not in our shot. And as you can see, this volume cloud will add 3D cloud inside your shot. And for example, when you want to capture render from above clouds on your city, you can do that. Here you can give them a little softness or even remove that softness and make them a bit sharper. Change the position of them. If you want to capture a shot and they are blocking your view, you can use this. Or if you want to use them inside your shot. And speed, it's being used in animation. And you have different type of preset that you can use inside your view. Preset usually resets the height, so this is good. Let's go back to effect, and here we have horizon cloud, which will add clouds in your horizon. And you can usually use this when you are not using real sky. And this is usually used for a render that you can see the end of your render. You can even change the type of the clouds that you have. And the next option is moon. For example, when you're using a night render, and again, you need to disable real sky. And usually when you have night and sun is not in sky, for example here, we can use moon. And we can move it exactly like sun and place it at the place that we want. And it's really interesting to pay attention that when we move the moon, the size of the moon will change at the same time. So we have moon size, which we can increase the size of the moon as well. Let me remove 2-point perspective, like that. You can place this in your background, in your horizon line, or anywhere else. So in any way, you can use this effect separately. In future episodes, we'll talk about object effect, and we'll talk about each one of these effects one by one in detail. I hope you enjoyed this episode and share your results with me, and be well.